Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lora Rolling and this is part 7 of the Christmas lights ornament tutorial. This is the Christmas lights ornament that we are making. It is so cute and colorful. I love it so much. And today we're going to be doing the unit called Green Round Bulb. If you haven't seen parts 1 through 6 yet, that's okay. You can do these out of order. I'll have those 6 videos listed down below in the description. That way when you finish this one, you can go and watch those. We just have a few materials to get ready, so let's get them listed and then we can get started. Let's go. So the beads that we're going to be using in today's video are all Miyuki Delicas. I have silver lined green, opaque chartreuse AB, white pearl AB, opaque delphinium, opaque dark cranberry, opaque yellow AB, and silver lined crystal. Just to make it easy, I'm going to call this green, light green, white, blue, red, yellow, and silver. We'll also need some beading thread and a beading needle. I like to use the Eslon Fire in the color crystal, and I use the 4-pound thread. You can also use 6-pound thread if that's what you prefer. And then I like to use a size 10 beading needle. You can use a size 12 also if that's what you have. For implements, I like to use my long nose pliers to hold on to my thread at the end of the video, and I cut my thread with scissors. And then today, to end the tail, I'm going to use the fire method, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So all we need to do is thread our needle with 3 feet of thread, and then we can get started. So I have threaded my needle and now I'm ready to pick up my first 3 beads, which are 3 green beads. I'm going to take these 3 beads and I'm going to slide them down to the bottom of the thread, leaving about a 6-inch tail. Now we're going to tie a square knot. So that means cross over on the top and then pull your tail through. And then cross over on the top again and pull your tail through. So you end up having what looks like a little snowman, 2 loops with one that has beads and one that does not. So the loop that has the beads, I'm going to put 2 fingers inside the loop, and then I'm going to pull the top loop until it turns into a knot. Then I'm going to take my tail, which is right here, and I'm not going to touch it to the flame, but I am going to get super close so that it melts. And it should look like this teensy little bead at the end. Now I'm going to take my long thread and I'm going to be pulling on my long thread while my fingers are still in that loop that has the beads in it. I'm going to twist the loop while I'm pulling on the thread until that little knot at the end of the tail touches the long thread. Now I'm going to take my thumbnail and pull that knot all the way down to my beads until the beads are in a tight little triangle, and that completes row number 1. Now I'm going to tug the knot over to one side so that it looks like the bead is, or the thread is coming out of this bead. And now we're going to pick up our next 2 beads, which are 2 green beads. Remember, when I say green, I mean the dark green ones. Then we're going to sew through the bead that is furthest away from the knot. And then we're going to try to get those beads to sit right on top of their buddies. just like that. Now we're going to pick up 2 more green beads, and we're coming out of this bead. We're going to sew through the next bead. Once again, trying to make sure that those beads sit right on top of their buddies. Now I'm going to pick up 2 more green beads, and we're going to sew through the next bead, and we're also going to sew through the bead that's right under it. So when you're sewing through 2 beads, that means that we are stepping up to the next row. And that also means that we've completed this row. So we're finished with 2 rows already. Let's start row number 3 by picking up 2 silver beads. We're coming out of this bead. Let's sew through the next. Now let's pick up 1 green bead. We're coming out of this bead. You'll notice that the bead right below it is kind of set downwards. We're going to skip that downward bead, and we're going to sew through the one that's poking up. That is our up bead. Now let's pick up 2 green beads and sew through the next. Let's pick up 1 green bead. Skipping the down bead, we're going to sew through the up bead. Let's pick up 2 more green beads and sew through the next. And the last bead in this row is 1 green bead, and we're going to skip the down bead and sew through 2 beads, stepping up so that we can start row number 4. Let's start this row with 2 silver beads, and sew through the next. Let's pick up 1 green and sew through the up bead. 1 green and sew through the up. Let's pick up 2 green beads and sew through the next. 1 green and sew through the up. 1 green and sew through the up. You'll notice our triangle is really starting to look like a triangle, and each time we are on a corner we will add 2 beads. So we're on this corner. Let's add 2 green beads. Let's add 1 green bead. And 1 green bead. Let's sew through the last 2 beads, which means that we get to start row number 5. Let's start with 2 silver beads. One silver, 1 green, 1 green, 2 green beads, 1 green, 1 green, 1 green. Oh, where did my bead go? I picked it up, but for some reason it didn't end up on my needle. Okay, at the corner, let's pick up 2 green beads, 1 green, 1 green, and 1 silver. Sewing through 2 beads, and now we're ready to start row number 6. Let's start with 2 white beads, 1 silver, 1 green, 1 green, 1 green, 2 green beads, 1 green, 1 green, 1 green. Oh, I did it again. Am I going too fast? Maybe I am. 1 green, 2 green, 1 green, 1 green, 1 green, and 1 silver. Sewing through 2 beads, and now we're starting row 7. Let's start with 2 white beads, 1 white, 1 white, 1 green, 1 green, 1 green, 2 white beads, 1 green, 1 green, 1 green, 1 green, 1 green, 2 white beads, 1 green, 1 green, 1 green, 1 white, and 1 white. Sewing through 2 beads, and now we are ready to start row number 8. Let's start with 2 white beads, one white, one light green, one white, one green, one green, one white, two white beads, one white, one green, one green, one green, one green, one white, two white, one white, one green, one green, one white, one light green, and one white. Sewing through 2 beads, and now we get to start row 9. Let's start with 2 white beads, one white, one white, one light green, one white, one white, one white, one white, one blue, and one white. One white, one white, one green, one green, one green, one white, one white, two white beads, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 1 light green, 1 white, and 1 red. Sewing through 2 beads, and now we get to start row 10. This entire row is all white beads, so I'm going to call them out in case you're following along or writing them down. So try not, I hope it's not too annoying. Okay, so starting with 2 white beads, 1 white, 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 2 white beads, 1 white, 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 2 white beads, 1 white, 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 and 1 white. Sewing through 2 beads, and now we are ready to start row 11. Let's start with 2 white beads, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 1 light green, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 2 white beads, 1 white, 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 2 white beads, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 1 light green, 1 white, 1 white, and 1 white. Sewing through 2 beads, stepping up to row number 12. Let's start row 12 with 2 white beads, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 1 light green, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 2 white beads, 1 white, 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 2 white beads, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 1 light green, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, and 1 white. Sewing through 2 beads. And now we have completed 12 rows of our triangle. Now we get to start our connector rows. To start our connector rows, first we have to cap off this corner. We're going to cap off all the corners, but we're going to start with this one by adding 1 light green bead. And now each triangle is different, and this particular triangle in this pattern has connector beads on this side and connector beads on the bottom, but no connector beads on this side. So we're going to add connector beads down this side now so that our next unit can connect to it. So that's why I call them connector beads. So let's start with 1 white, 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 and 1 white. Now we are down to this corner. Let's cap it off with 1 white bead. And now we're going to add connector beads along this side. So let's start with 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 1 yellow, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, 1 white, and 1 white. Now we get to cap off our third corner. Let's cap it off with 1 white bead. And now I'm going to turn my triangle over, and I'm going to sew up without adding any more beads. I'm going to sew up 6 beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now I'm going to do something I call a zigzag. We're coming out of the top of this green bead right here. We're going to sew down the bead right next to it, just like that. And then we're going to sew up the bead next to that one. Now let's sew up 1 bead and up a 2nd bead. And let's zigzag again. We're coming out of this top white bead, the top of the white bead. We're going to go down the green bead right next to it and up the green bead right next to that one. Now let's sew up 2 beads and now I feel like this bead, that last bead that we added, is super secure. It's not going to come out or get loose. So now I feel like I can just cut my thread. So let's hold on to the thread with our long nose pliers and then get really close to the bead without cutting the bead, just the very closest to the bead that you can and cut your thread. And we have now completed our green round bulb triangle. We only need one of these, so I will see you in a second. That was so much fun. Thank you so much for being here with me today and beading along with me. Remember to like and subscribe and hit that bell button so you're notified when the next video comes out. I can't wait to see you there. Thanks for watching.